Okay, well, we wanted to have this press conference today because we wanted to talk a little bit about APR as it pertains to football. You know, there's a lot of stuff flying out around there about how the APR is working and what's going on with football, and so we just wanted to jump out there preliminarily a little bit. We've done all the data and inputted all the data for last year's program, and so they'll be releasing those numbers. They don't release those numbers till May of 2013, but we kind of wanted to jump a little bit and say, you know, currently right now, last year's APR for the football team came in at a perfect 1,000. I think that's important to talk about. We're coming into recruiting season, and we want people to know that the academic issues that we've had in the football program are not only fixed, but in addition to that, going up, increasing, getting better. You know, and you know, kind of want to talk a lot about, you know, there's a lot of hands in that pot. There's a lot of years that go into that. I know some of the info about the APR. We just wanted to sort of get out there and say, hey, you know, this has been a process of learning over the last, you know, 8-9 years, learning how the APR works, learning the developmental issues behind that, crunching a lot of data and saying, why are these things happening, and then getting some programs, changing some programs. Nancy Graziano, Associate Athletic Director, James Izar, Assistant Athletic Director, Quentin Freeman, myself, we've put a lot of legwork into creating a lot of programs that will have changed things, and now we're seeing the fruits of those labors.
How bad was it, and what's the key that turned it around to where it is now?
Well, it wasn't as horrible, I think, as it was laid out. It was, you know, we were hovering in the high 800s, which is pretty bad for an APR score, but a lot of the things that we did was we just changed the culture. You know, instead of jamming a bunch of guys into a study hall situation, you take those guys out and say, there's some guys that aren't getting stuff out of study hall. You crunch the numbers, you look at the data, and you say, okay, how can these particular set of guys benefit? And that's where James Izar came up with some programming where we do some Monday afternoon, Monday evening things where he sits there and we teach study skills. We talk about you know, resources on campus, and we just do some different things. We changed our academic, our bottom line for coming in as a student athlete, raise that bar a little bit so that we would have a better caliber of academics person that would come in. And you know, just some different things like that that we've done throughout the years to really kind of change the culture.
Why is it a year later? Is it just the sheer amount of data that the NCAA has to go through? Why is it a year later that they announce the APR score?
So the process that happens is you start inputting the data during the summer or somewhere after the school year ends. And that data is due 6 weeks after the first day of school at your institution, which for us became October 2nd or something like that, October 3rd. So the data is due October 3rd. Then there's another 2-week period of adjustments, and then there's another 2-week period of amendments, and then, you know, there's all this period you go through. So that book doesn't really close until about now, about mid-November. Then what they have to do is they have to go through and scrutinize the data that we've put forth. And they'll go through and look at any things that they might think is incorrect or any discrepancies or anything like that, and kind of come back at us a little bit. So, and then they're doing that, you know, for 300 schools plus or whatever. So then that's the reason that takes a little bit of time to come out.
What type of mandate did you get from Coach Kramer in needing help to fix this?
This is the process that started years ago. This started in about 2005. We started with this process. 2006. After we had the APR started in 2003. It was the 2003-2004 school year. And once we had the data for about 3 years, so like the 2006, 2007, somewhere in that range, we started to say, okay, what is it that we need to do to fix any things that are wrong or adjust things or whatever. And so that's been a process that we've all developed from way back.
Just how happy are you to see, you know, a football team come in with what's expected to be a perfect 1,000?
Well, number one, that I can't emphasize how rare that is. There's not that many football teams that are out there getting perfect 1,000s. I think Boise State's had a history of some of that, which is and pretty neat to see across the state. But it's a pretty rare thing, so it's kind of big. You know, we always expected that we would hit marks such as 950, 960, 970, 980, but 1,000 is it's a real testament to Quentin Freeman, first of all, who, you know, him and I have been beating the streets to get a lot of guys to come back, and I think it says in this release that 14 guys in the last 4 years have graduated, and these are guys that left the program and went somewhere else and went off and got jobs and had families and did things like that, but they were close enough that, you know, Q and I went down and dug a lot of data out and said, hey, there's this group of guys that are close, and Q's on the phone with them every day. You know, come back, get your degree, and so, you know, it's yeah, we're super proud of that for sure, but we put a lot of work into that, so it hasn't just happened magically.
Anything else from Matt?
No.